Hi, good evening, good afternoon, shalom to all. I'm happy to welcome you to what may seem virtual today is tomorrow's reality webinar. My name is Ronnie Gordana. I'm the Vice President for Propulsion System at AUVSI Israel and also co-director of Mechanical Aerospace Association at AEI. A few words about our organization. The Israeli Society of Autonomous Systems is a home for tens of thousands of engineers, managers, administrators, physicians, opticians, and system engineers engaged in various branches of unmanned vehicles. The society creates a space for training and professional upscaling. The society conducts conferences, seminars, workshops, and courses, as well as collaboration with universities around the world. Participating in the society enables professional and continuous contact with expert engineers, academy, and industry, including relation with leading international organizations such as AUVSI. The society is a branch of AUVSI and conduct joint exhibition and support for companies in various frameworks. The society established a holistic approach for UV regulation and is collaborating with Prime Minister Office to establish acceptable regulation for autonomous systems. We invite you to sign up to follow the activities that we are holding, which are published in our monthly newsletter, sorry. And I'm honored to introduce our lecturer for today, Engineer Ron Bublitsky. His lecture will be What May Seem Virtual Today is Tomorrow's Reality. Ron Bublitsky is Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical and Space Engineering from the Technion. He works at IAI for over a decade in a preliminary design department, and is engineer in the Engineering and Development Center of IAI. He initiated and established the XR laboratory and serves as a leading engineer of the XR technology and advanced visualization at IAI. Regarding the question, you may be most welcome to ask questions through the Q&A, and we will answer them on the last 15 minutes. So enjoy the lecture. Ron, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a second, and share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone can see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you all for joining us today. This webinar is an introduction to the exciting world of XR technology. I try to keep it as interesting and informative as I can to inspire you to see how you can use this great technology to improve your daily work. So there will be quite a few videos and very little technical information, just for you to know. Okay, so what we'll be talking about today. First of all, what is XR? A quick history lesson, how the technology influences our life today, the impact of XR on industries, and a little bit about what the future holds. So what is extended reality, or XR? First of all, we need to figure it out. What is reality? How we perceive reality. So we all know that humans have 5 basic senses. Our sensing organs associated with each sense send information to the brain to help us understand and perceive the world around us. And our brain produces the reality as we know it, based on the information. Now, suppose I were to ask you to choose only one sense for the rest of your life, what would it be? I'm pretty sure that everyone will answer sight, right? And why is that? Well, quite simple, as you can see in the next picture. Another thing we can talk about is about other creatures, how they perceive reality. How, for instance, dolphins or bats use their sonar capabilities to perceive reality, or maybe about dogs and their smelling capabilities extending their reality. But did you know, for instance, that different creatures perceive the time differently than we do? If you ever wondered why it is so hard for us to catch a housefly, it's only because from its perspective, we are moving very slow. Another thing is that our reality constantly being analyzed and created by our brain. And although it's the most sophisticated organism, it's easily fooled. This is because our brain is looking for patterns and uses different techniques to analyze our surroundings. In this example, if I ask you which square is darker, most of you will probably say A, because we all know how checkboard looks, and this picture reminds us the same thing. But as you can see, it's the same color. Another great example is how many boxes are there? Or is it a profile picture or not? This is why the claim that it's easy to fool our brain is so fun in understanding how XR affects our daily life. Here's a great example.
Inside, you can see some interesting part of the engine. Go inside.
You can't panic.
For those reasons and more, as you have seen and probably heard most of the time, the initial experience of virtual reality for new users is overwhelming and disorienting. So after we understand how we humans perceive reality, let's talk about XR. What is it? Well, we said XR means extended reality. The term describes a variety of technological experience that combine digital and biological realities. It includes a wide range of hardware and software, including sensing interfaces, applications, and infrastructures that enable the creation of content for virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality. Now, let's talk about those terms. VR, virtual reality, means that everything you see and experience is computer generated. It is a simulated experience that can be similar or completely different from the real world. Virtual reality systems use either a head-mounted display called HMD or multi-projected environmental to generate realistic images, sounds, and other sensations that simulate user physical presence in a virtual environment. In this example, you can see a virtual duck in virtual environment. Now, when we're talking about augmented reality, it refers a technology that augments the user visual and sometimes also audio perception of their environment. Typically, the digital information is superimposed over a natural existing environment and always floats on top of it. In this example, once again, we see the virtual duck floats on top of the reality of this room. Now, if we go further, mixed reality is quite similar to AR, but it means merging of real and virtual worlds to produce new environments and visualizations where physical and digital objects coexist and interact in real time. The digital information takes into account the physical surroundings and reacts to it. In this example, you can see the virtual duck is standing behind a physical table. So this is in short XR technology. Now, we can talk about a little bit about the history of VR and how we came to this day with this great technology. And probably we don't have to go that far back. But to your surprise, it started very early. Since the 18th century, people experienced a type of virtual reality through panoramic pictures drawn inside rounded rooms. In 1838, the first stereoscope was invented by Sir Charles Wheatstone. His invention is the cornerstone of the XR technology today. The understanding that projecting two similar pictures with a slight offset creates an illusion of depth or 3D image being recreated and perceived as a reality in our brain. In 1960, Morton Heilig invents the first head-mounted display, HMD, intended to be a non-interactive film medium. The headset provided stereoscopic 3D and wide vision with stereo sound. In 1987, a very familiar name for everyone that involves in VR or XR industry, Jaron Lanier coined the term virtual reality to describe, well, virtual reality. Before this, the term virtual reality was not used. Jaron founded a company named VPL, Virtual Programming Lab, that developed HMDs, gloves, and other related immersive equipment that cost very, very much. And in 1992, the movie The Lawnmower came out in theaters, presenting virtual reality technology as a therapeutic way to treat people who are ill, something that is being used today. This technology is being used broadly for these reasons also. In 1999, the first Matrix film came out, and I don't think there is any need for me to describe the huge impact it had on popular culture. And lastly, and most important, is in 2012, a kid named Lucky Palmer raises more than $2 million to develop the first modern and available HMD. 2 years later, Facebook buys this company named Oculus for $2 billion. And a few years later, they came out with the Oculus developed device that cost $300. Recently, during the COVID-19 outbreak, all Oculus devices were sold out, and the second-hand used devices were sold for twice the price of brand new devices across the web. How the technology influences our life today? Well, the impact XR technology has on us is similar to the impact computer-aided design, or CAD in short, had on our industrial life. The near-term XR impact will pale in face of the future impact XR technology will have in longer terms. And why is that? Well, studies showed people remember 10% of what they hear, 20% of what they read, and 80% of what they experience. And XR technology is all about experience. Let's see some examples. When we're talking about search and rescue, the use of VR technology allows training for incidents that cannot easily be replicated or may be very costly to recreate and even involve hazardous situations. If we're talking about the Army, enhancing human capabilities and scope of surrounding awareness through technology, making soldiers into veritable superhumans. And let's see an example for that. And the movie?
It sounds like something out of science fiction. But the futuristic goggles these soldiers are wearing could transform the battlefield. A heads-up display, or HUD for short, allows soldiers to see terrain maps and an overhead compass in real time, helping to clear the fog of war. And if it is dark and smoky, no problem. The goggles can see right through it and literally around corners. Soldiers can use the goggles to plan their missions.
I can see where my entire platoon is projected on a holographic map.
It also means better communication.
You can mark enemy positions and share that across the board.
In training to clear out rooms, soldiers will see realistic holograms of enemy fighters. And as they did here, watch a video game-like replay of their training to look for any mistakes. The goggles a big improvement to the equipment they use now on the battlefield. Night vision no longer means looking through what looks like a straw, but a full 180-degree view. And with the turn of a knob, thermal technology does something night vision goggles can't do.
Did you see it?
No, we didn't.
No, okay. This is okay. I'm sorry for that. Okay, let's try to move forward. When we're talking about heavy industries, I'll talk about it later on in depth. constructions. Today, almost everyone with some basic knowledge can recreate design environment using game engines to create a VR experience. During the COVID-19, it's very important because many people can't travel and see new houses, but they can stay at home and use virtual reality to move around the house and decide if they want to buy the property or not. If we're talking about advertising, I wanted to show you a very nice clip. For instance, what Pepsi did about 6 years ago, how they used this technology to draw people and advertise their commercial. But unfortunately, I can't. Okay, let's move on. Education. Experiential learning derived from the use of extended reality technology. Using this environment, virtual environments, poor universities, for instance, that they don't have enough funds for sophisticated labs, can create virtual ones and make it accessible to their students for practice. A study in several universities shows, for example, that students who learn and practice inside virtual environments had better understanding and better results in tests than their students' colleagues who learned in the standard ways. If we're talking about healthcare, the technology doesn't stop there. Phobia treatment, gamification of repeating exercises, and even helping to reduce pain. It's all being done using virtual reality. Also, VR can help before, during, and after surgical procedures to reduce the patient's fear and also help him to reduce dependencies on addictive drugs. It's all being done today. Almost every aspect of our lives can be and will be affected by this technology. And the reason why so many companies as big as Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, and more are interested in this technology. This is a partial list 2 years ago of companies that have an interest in XR technology, software and hardware alike. But there is no doubt that the biggest impact is already being felt in the engineering industries, such as aerospace, automotives, and industrial technologies. XR technology is truly revolutionizing these industries, and I wanted to show you how.
It's okay.
Right now, you can see.
It sounds like something out of science fiction.
Can you see the video?
Yes, we can see it, Ron. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
But the futuristic goggles these soldiers are wearing could transform the battlefield. A heads-up display, or HUD for short, allows soldiers to see terrain maps and an overhead compass in real time, helping to clear the fog of war. And if it is dark and smoky, no problem. The goggles can see right through it and literally around corners. Soldiers can use the goggles to plan their missions.
I can see where my entire platoon is projected on like a holographic map.
It also means better communication.
You can mark enemy positions and share that across the board.
In training to clear out rooms, soldiers will see realistic holograms of enemy fighters. And as they did here, watch a video game-like replay of their training to look for any mistakes. The goggles a big improvement to the equipment they use now on the battlefield. Night vision no longer means looking through what looks like a straw, but a full 180-degree view. And with the turn of a knob, thermal technology does something night vision goggles can't do.
Okay, this movie was introduced something like a month ago. Another great thing I want you to see is about how we can use VR or XR technology for education. The next clip I want you to see is something that Lockheed Martin did a few years back, using a school bus to transform it to a spaceship. And how they did that? Well, let's see.
Let's go! 100%. Solar panels, sun pointing. Calibrating for 33% of Earth gravity. Welcome to Mars.
In the very near future, someone's going to Mars. Will it be you?
Where do we go? I can't hear you.
Now, as you can see, this is quite an unusual way to teach our children lesson about space, Mars, etc. Okay, so let me try to go back to the presentation. Okay. So if we're talking about the industry, we need to talk about the industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolution, or Industry 1, was the invention of the steam engine, which was the reason for the creation of new type of energy and transportation that later helped us to speed up the manufacturing of railroads, thus accelerating the economy and technological advancement. Down the road, we had the Industry 2, advancement in manufacturing and production technology with early factory electrification and adoption of mass production lines. Industry 3, where most of the companies are right now, is about semiconductors, mainframe computing, personal computing, and the internet, a true digital revolution. But the most interesting revolution is Industry 4, that is being processed today. It is a way to describe the blurring of boundaries between the physical, digital, and biological worlds. It's a fusion of advances in artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, 3D printing, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and other advancements such as XR. What are the building blocks of Industry 4? Well, we can see some of them right now. First of all, is automated robots, simulations, system integrations, IoTs, cybersecurity, cloud computing, 3D printing, XR, and big data. All of those building blocks are capable to advance any industry into the Industry 4 revolution. So how XR technology fits into this revolution? Well, if we are looking at VR technology, we can talk about creating virtual models of final products, designing production lines, and digital twins creations using VR technology. Collaborations, working together in a virtual environment. COVID-19 is the best example of how we can utilize this technology during the crisis that the whole world is having today. Practicing hazardous work process in a safe environment. And of course, remote control of machines. We are in virtual reality, but we can remote control real machines in real life. AR technology helps us in production line with assemblies, product quality control, and automation of reports. Maintenance, visual training, and remote assistance also being used in AR technology. IoT, all the digital data that is gathered from all the machines in our factory can be displayed in the field of view. And of course, logistics, monitoring, and checking existing inventories that can be displayed on devices of AR technology or HUDs. What are the stages of product development? Well, first of all, we have preliminary design, the department that I work at. So we start with the concept of any platform that we want. And we try to market and pitch the ideas to our management or our customers. And using virtual reality, it's very easy to convince the board to put some money and invest in our idea. If we're looking at design and maintenance down the road, we can use the technology to demonstrate the maintenance based on the model we just built, training the technicians, and so much more. When we talk about design and manufacturer assembly, we can talk about production line design, table assemblies, performing linear assemblies, employee certifications, and more. And design and operation, aircrew training, avionics development, and of course, marketing, exhibitions, and client presentations. This tool is one of the best tools that there is to do that. And thus we get a new product. Well, the car industry is one of the most sophisticated and innovative industries out there. It adopts a new cutting-edge technology faster than other industries. So I would like to show you some examples. The first example I want to show you, and just get out of this presentation so you can look at it. Just a second. This is film video clip from Ford.
We're here at the Ford Immersive Vehicle Environment, which has been certainly the highlight of the tour for me today, because it's a virtual environment in which you can fully explore a car that doesn't actually exist. The Ford Immersive Vehicle Environment, or 5Lab, is one of only 2 of its kind in the world. It's basically a big empty room with a seat and a steering wheel sitting in the middle of it. You can put on this virtual reality headset and a glove, which are tracked by 19 motion tracking cameras around the room in real time, and you're suddenly in a virtual showroom experiencing a car in 3D. You can walk around the car, get inside, inspect the interior, even press the odd button. Floating icons in the air let you change the colour options of whatever car's being displayed, and there's even the option for a transparent skin. You can hoist the car up in the air to walk underneath it, or plunge your head straight into the engine bay. The 3D models are incredibly detailed, right down to the engine parts, so you can feel what it's like to be a piston, or surf down the drive shaft if you like. Ford's design team uses the 5Lab as a very early step in prototyping, before any physical or clay models are made. It gives them a chance to put each vehicle in a number of different environments and test out different ideas in terms of engineering or fit and finish without any waste. The experience of sitting in this rig is quite uncanny. The vehicles, in this case a Mustang, render in Ultra HD and respond to lighting and reflections as well as any video game. Ford doesn't seem to have any plans to make this a sales tool, but a 5Lab would be absolutely stunning in a showroom. Mind you, you might struggle to get people out of it.
So, if you heard the video, which dates back almost 5 years ago, if you notice, the spokesman said there are only 2 labs in the world with these capabilities, and there is no plans to make it a sale tool. Well, if you don't know already, I can tell you that it's not the case right now. You can't even imagine how many labs are around the world that utilizing this technology, and of course also use this for sales and commercial. There is no need for a dedicated showroom, resulting in a saving of real estate and human resources. You can book driving experience in order to finally decide whether you want to purchase the car or not. And sorry that I always need to exit my presentation. Just a second. I want you to see another quick video showing the capability.
When we showed them the first version, we really blew their mind because they did not expect it to look as good as it did.
Almost everybody starts to laugh. If it's the first time they try a VR experience, so they don't really know what's real and what's not. Because it looks like you're inside a dealership, exactly where they are, looking at the car exactly as you do in here. So they get really happy.
With them to a lot of events, for example, at airports or horse shows or sporting events, where they can just bring the VR headset and show the new car and really let customers experience it in a way that it's not possible without VR.
So a few years ago, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang introduced the concept of replacing physical sensors on a car with information flow arriving from the virtual world in which the car software operates, making an autonomous car fleet obsolete and increases the number of use cases we can examine and test significantly. The technology helps restoring different environmental and driving conditions to normal conditions, thus improves the efficiency of autonomous driving. And of course, saving in time, manpower, and human life due to errors we haven't yet foreseen. We can talk also about training new and experienced employees in work procedures in a safe environment, as we talked about it earlier. In hazardous environment, I can use virtual reality to help our workers to do their job better without putting them in risk. Reconstructions of recurring problems in the production line and displaying the resulting lessons learned. And of course, guidance and help in the daily work using AR and remote assistance and much more. If we're talking about aerospace industry where I come from, well, as I would like to explain and show you some current examples of what we've done in our company, Israel Aerospace Industries, what I can show you. And were approved to be shown. So when we're talking about the possibilities of implementation of XR in aviation, we see almost identical use cases which can be found in other industries in one way or another because of the common problems and challenges they all face. The very first time we used VR was to create a marketing presentation of a civil airplane concept to our investment partners right after the preliminary design stage of the aircraft. We use the Unreal Engine, it's a game engine, to create a virtual reality experience using a developer kit of Oculus to walk around and inside the design concept. It was much cheaper than a physical mock-up and felt much more lifelike. Now, as I said before, I unfortunately can't show you everything we have done. So I'll show you an example of what I can show you right now. I designed our existing physical XR lab, as you heard, and I used the CAD software to do that. But I used the finishing touches using the Unreal Engine, and I used it in virtual reality. The virtual result was demonstrated to our building constructors who took a virtual tour inside the design. And even though I have had a limited architectural experience, I think I still managed to produce a good and a very useful result, which I'd like to show you right now. So after our first generation of VR using Unreal Engine, we turned our attention towards more advanced industrial tools, which helped us to import our CAD design directly and to begin testing and the designs inside the virtual reality. And this is, I think, the last video I want you to see. So there you go. So we'll finish with some quotes. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. And this is all about, this is what virtual reality XR is all about. Involvement of people and helping them to achieve great things using virtual reality, extended reality. So if we can talk a little bit about what the future holds. We're seeing many exciting developments such as XR lenses and even implantable brain-machine interfaces, if anyone heard about Neuralink of Elon Musk, that may someday change our perception of reality entirely. The COVID-19 outbreak not only gave us a huge boost for the industry and highlighted its importance during times of crisis, but also showed us the great benefits it has compared to the daily alternatives, such as virtual meetings, virtual conferences, and much more. It's clear this technology is here to stay, and one can only imagine the impact it will have on us as a society. Just imagine a whole world of augmented people that will be able to achieve great things that may seem to us like science fiction today. That is it. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
What are the limitations today? From Shirley Lev.
Okay, I need just a little bit more. What are the limitations? Where the main limitation is from the side of security when we're talking about the concern about cyber attacks. But these concerns are also involve cloud computing, the IoT, and stuff like that. So this is the main limitation right now because we see increasing level of concern in those terms. But if you look at it in terms of the technology, there are almost no limitation today to view and experience virtual reality. Okay. Hi. Do you know which hardware and software were shown in the II movie? Yes, I know exactly what hardware the software was shown because I did the experiment in virtual reality. So in terms of hardware, we are using HTC Vive Pro, and we also use HTC Vive trackers. From the terms of computing, any gaming rig you can think about will definitely work. And of course, CAD computers also with I think we have a GPU of P6000, I think. Quadro P6000, if I'm not mistaken. About resolution, well, it only depends on hardware. HTC Vive Pro is sufficient enough right now, but of course, every couple of months there is a new rig you can buy, and it will have a better resolution and better graphic. What computers do we need to run this kind of XR? I think I just answered that. Can any of the shelf computers do the work? Yes, of course. Anything that you can think about. If it's a game gaming computer with the latest gaming cards, it will help and it will work greatly right on the start. In XR, what does the X stand for? Well, the X hiding in extended reality. This is the X, what it stands for. I prefer cross reality, but this is what it is. What should I take to implement this simulation as a service in our company? Well, it depends what type of service do you want to implement. If it's for marketing purposes, I would suggest to look into game engines such as Unreal Engine or Unity to start and produce a marketing experience. This is what we did at the first steps because it's cheaper. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It just means you need to learn about how to create this virtual experience and buy some hardware that doesn't cost very much. Please, can you write the type of computer to use here? Guys, well, everything that you can look at the web, any gaming computer is good for game engine environments such as Unreal Engine and Unity. If you're looking for more experience and engineering uses, look at CAD computers that have Quadro graphic cards, and it will be enough for you to start and dive into this experience. You're welcome. Can you recommend a specific software? Well, as I said, I chose to use HTC Vive Pro for several reasons. One of them was the availability of all kinds of hardware, such as trackers that we are using in our lab. And the second thing is we attach a wireless kit from HTC to our headset, and thus we are able to move freely in the lab. And right now, there are very few solutions out there for doing that. So this is why I chose the HTC Vive hardware.
Great. I don't see any more questions, so Bon, thank you very much. This was very enlightening and professional lecture. I remember 3 decades ago, it all started with concurrent engineering, and now we are speaking, you know, way beyond that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.